Welcome to Lab 4. In Lab 4 we're going to tile the background, and so we're going to do the things we need to do to scroll this background. As you can see in the illustration that the scrolling layer has to be wider than the stage, so you can move the whole thing across the stage to give that illusion of movement. You know, the way it is, the background is right now, you can move the background off the stage, but nothing's going to scroll onto the stage in its place. So you're going to need to make the background wider, so you're going to make it a tiled background. So you see now we've added, we've copied and pasted a copy of the background onto it, so now you have something to replace it with. That's how a tiled background works. It matches the pattern on both sides and repeats. So it just makes it wide enough to scroll the movie. So what are we going to do? We're going to copy another instance of the background symbol next to the first one, and then we're going to make a simple tile pattern. Then you just combine them into a single instance. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the view so I can see more of the stage. I'm going to go down to 50%. So I'm going to go View, zoom out, there we go. Now I can see more gray around the stage. So what I'm going to do is in the Tools panel, I'm going to make sure the Selection tool is selected. If not, I just click to select it. In the timeline in the background layer, I click on Frame 1. I click on the gray area outside the stage to unselect everything. If the internal library panel isn't showing, I just have to click it next to the Properties tab to show it. Now I click and drag the background symbol from the library panel to the gray area on the right-hand side of the stage, leaving a gap between the stage and the new instance of the background symbol. So now I'm going to change my snapping settings. I'm going to, first I'm going to click the View menu, then I'm going to click Snapping, and then Edit Snapping. I'm going to click Snap Align as take out Snap to Grid, and I'm going to click Snap to Guides, and I'm going to click OK. You got to make sure none of the other boxes are in the Edit Snapping dialog box are checked. So just uncheck them if they are. I'm going to click and drag the bottom rectangle on the new instance of the background to line up exactly on the other background symbol. The dotted lines will between the symbols and either above or below them when they're lined up correctly. So now they're lined up correctly. Now to make the background scroll, you're going to have to move it across the stage with a motion tween. Right now your background is in two separate pieces because I've got two instances of the background stage on the symbol. Background symbol on the stage. So I'm going to combine these two instances into one long tiled symbol on the next time. Okay? That way you'll be able to easily move it across the entire length of the background at once. So now what do? I click on Frame 1 of the background layer, and I go Modify, Convert to Symbol, and I call this Tiled Background. So how am I going to hang with this? We're going to animate the scrolling of my layers as a movie clip animation within a symbol. We could scroll the layers directly in the main timeline, but this is a different way of doing it. If you scrolled the layers on the main timeline, all the motion tweens would have to be the same length. So all the layers would have to move at the same speed. But we want one layer to move faster than the other one. So we're going to make the motion symbols that contain the scrolling movie clip animations so the layers can scroll at different speeds. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine them into a new symbol. So I'm going to go click them again. Then I'm going to go Modify, Convert to Symbol. And I'm going to call this background motion. Save your project. And now you're in Lab 5. Now in Lab 5, we're going to make the background scroll behind the character. Now I wanted to remind you that your snapping settings need to be set to help you keep the background lined up on the stage when it scrolls. So this is why we've changed our snapping settings. So here they are. We're going to go snapping, edit snapping, and you need to have snap align and snap to guides. This is very important. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the background motion movie clip symbol so I can scroll the background tile symbol inside it. So in the Tools pane, I'm going to make sure the Selections tool is selected, which it is. On the stage, I'm going to double click the background drawing of distant object to move the background motion movie cap symbol. And make sure you're going to double click on a part of the background drawing, not in a blank area. So like not up here. I want to do it right on the drawing. It should say up here, background motion. So now I want to see more of the stage, so I'm going to zoom out 50%. The stage is going to look smaller. I can see more of the gray area around it. Now I'm going to change the snapping setting. Oh, we already did that. Yours fine. So next we're going to create a motion tween and scroll the background inside the background motion symbol. Make sure the background motion symbol is still open, right here. In the timeline, click frame 1. Click the insert menu, then click motion tween. So make sure that we're right here in frame 24. Now I'm going to drag this so that I've got this lined up all the way here on the left. Now I'm going to do a control enter to run the movie. There you go, this is rolling pretty fast, isn't it? So we're going to create what they call the parallax perspective. That is where things that are closer to you appear to move faster than those that are further away. So we're going to make the layers in our scene move at different speeds so they look like they're different distances from the walking character. We want this to walk slow. We want this background to be slow. Now what we're going to do is drag out this blue bar to 400. Woo! Let's see what that movie looks like. That looks a little slower, doesn't it? Next thing we're going to do is we're going to trim the timeline. So the last frame, we want to make sure that we got that little pause when that frame repeats. So we're going to get rid of that last frame off of the scrolling animation. So I click in frame 399. I'll go function F6 key. Or I could do a insert timeline keyframe. Some of you guys still want to do that. Okay, now I go click in 400, I delete that one. Remove frame. So let's run that movie, see if it looks any better. Now we're going to take everything down to normal. I'm going to go back to view 100%. And I'm going to go back to the view here. And I'm going to move this gray bar to the guy's in the center. I guess he isn't in the center, is he? So let's lock our background layer. And we'll save the file. And we're going into Lab 6. In Lab 6, we're going to draw a path for our character to walk on. Our path is under the player's feet and behind the player. It can be a dirt path, a road, a sidewalk, or something else for your character to walk on. We're just going to add the details to the path and the size of the path so you'll be able to tell that it scrolls. Now we're going to add a new layer and call it Path. If your layer isn't on top, drag it to the top so you can see what you're doing. So now we're going to turn our, we're going to change our snapping settings again. Edit snapping. We're going to take out the align and grids, and we're going to click snap to grid. Click OK. It's important that we make the path stretch exactly the length of the stage. So we're going to make our basic shape for our path with a rectangle tool, and then we'll draw other details in. So now I'm going to choose my rectangle symbol. I'm going to draw my path. So make sure no stroke is on. Click that, and let me pull this over so you can see this. Add no stroke. So click no stroke. Click in the pale. And make a color for your sidewalk or your path. Now what you do is you draw it with enough space to add detail. And cover the grids, the outline of the grids. So now we're going to take off the snap to grid because we're going to draw. So we're going to go grid, snapping, take off that snap to grid. So now I'm going to add some details. I'm going to take the eraser and make it a little more jagged and some things like that. So just go ahead and do what you need to do. Put some rocks and flowers on there, that kind of thing. So once you've added all the details you want, you convert it to a symbol. Click here. Oops. So I'm going to convert the symbol to a movie, or to a symbol. Let's go click in the frame 1. Go modify, convert to symbol. And we call this symbol path. Make sure it says movie clip. So now I put up this path right between the character and the land. So I move this character where I want him on the path, unlock him. Maybe it might make him a little bigger. So now I'm going to test my movie. And we're going to get ready to scroll the path in Lab 7. Paths in Lab 7, we're going to tile that path and animate it to scroll. I'm going to shrink it down. Now I'm going to add a second instance of the path symbol from the library panel to the gray area on the right end of the stage. So make sure the selection tool is selected. Unlock the padlock on the path layer. And I click frame 1. I click in the gray area outside the stage to unselect everything. If the internal library panel isn't showing, just click the Library tab next to the Properties tab to show it. Now I'm going to click the path symbol from the library panel to the gray area on the right side of the stage. Leave a gap between the stage and the new instance of the path symbol. Now I need to change my snap settings. So I'm going to go View, Snap Settings, Edit Snapping. Now I'm going to snap a line and snap to guides and click OK. Just like the last time, I want to line this up so that the new instance of the path symbol is exactly next to the other path symbol. So I bring it over till I get the dotted line on the bottom. We're on the top, and it's all set. Now I'm going to convert to a symbol, so I click it once again in 1. Then I click over to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and I call it Path. Well, Path Tile. Now I'm going to call this Path Motion. So I'm going to modify it again, convert to symbol, call it path motion. Now I'm going to double click this symbol to open it. Make sure you're clicking in it. Make sure it says path motion up here, not something else. So now I click in frame 1 and I insert my motion tween. Then I click in frame 24 and I do a function F6. So I make myself a keyframe. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the shift key and drag this all the way over. The dotted lines will tell you that you got it exactly right. So let's run our movie. So the scene's going by rather fast, but you get the idea. So now I'm going to drag that blue bar out to 100. Now let's run it. That's a little more different. Maybe I'll do this again. I put those trees on a further layer back, huh? So now I trim the timeline, so I click on frame 99 and I create a keyframe. Hold down my control key, select frame 100. I right click it. I click remove frame. Here we go. So I run the movie and I'm all set. So now I'm going to change the view. I go back to 100%. I go back to the main time frame here. I'm going to lock this. Now I'm going to publish my settings. I go File, Publish Settings. You can set it to our usual stuff. Click here, what is HTML? Change that to left and top. For 5, I don't think you change much for 6. Then I just go Publish. Okay, and I am done.